So, guys, tell us how the band met and formed the Gorillaz.
Oh, hang on. Hair. I've got hair in my throat there. Oh dear, my head feels very sticky today. Too much ghost wine last night. I didn't know if you tried that stuff, but it's like drinking shots of washing up liquid mixed with paint stripper. Yeah? Sounds like a good idea at the time, but you do pay dearly in the morning. Anyway, right, yes, how did Gorillaz form? Well, I guess this lineup first came together around 1998, yeah, because I put loads of bands together before that. Great bands, yeah? All of them should have been enormous. What did you have? You had the Burning Sensations, Durango 95, Kiss and Make Up, Wild Willy Wally and the Wallingtons. Yeah, I was the singer in all those bands. Great stuff. Yeah.
Dear Lord. Oh.
Anyway, any one of them could have been as big as Gorillaz. But, you know, eventually, I thought it might be time to try out a different vocalist, other than me.
Yeah, someone who could actually sing, maybe?
Shut it, twerp. See, technically, my voice, obviously, is still much, much better than 2D's. But, yeah, I just thought it was time for a change. A change of texture. So, what happened was, I was out one day on a nicking spree, hoisting we call it, on the rob.
August 15th, 1997, first time we met.
Yeah, like I say, I was out robbing on a nicking spree, yeah, right? And what I had in mind was to crash my car through the front window of this music shop. Uncle Norm's Keyboard Emporium, it was called. It was the local shop, basically, that sold all the keyboards. And what I thought was I would just crash through the front and then steal a bunch of the keyboards, and form a new band.
It was the shop I was working in.
So I crashed the car through the window, and it landed straight in 2D's head. Amazing, direct hit. Knocked one of his eyes straight out. Put him in a coma immediately. I got arrested for that, and my community service, my sentence, was to look after this silly sod.
I don't know what I did wrong.
Obviously, I abused that position and took the opportunity to bully him to within an inch of his catatonic life. So, one time when we were mucking about in a car park in Nottingham, 2D actually went through the windscreen. And I think it was that second car accident that actually brought him back round. Yeah? Because it knocked his other stupid eye out. But I'll tell you what, when he stood up, wow, what an image. Tall, pretty, blue spiky hair.
No eyeballs?
No eyeballs. I knew that he had to be the front man. After that, everything sort of just fell into place. I found Russell, our drummer, working in a record shop, Big Rick Black's Record Shack in Soho. Everyone had heard of Russell because he knew everything there was to know about hip-hop. He was the rhythm king. And also he was possessed by the undead, ghosty spirit of his dead friend Dell. Good drummer, too. So I kidnapped him and took him over to Kong Studios, which was our headquarters, our isolated recording studio HQ at the time.
Yeah, all we needed, right, was a guitarist. Well, we did have one, Paula Crocker.
But she was rubbish, so we advertised for another. We stuck an ad in the music paper NME. I can't remember exactly what we wrote. I just know it stated, no hippies.
Moments later, there was a knock on the door, and there was this FedEx crate outside.
Nothing more. No one there. Just a crate.
We opened it up.
And inside was Noodle, our guitarist. We were a band. We changed our name to Gorillaz there and then, and the rest is history. Anyway, you should obviously know all this. It's all in Rise of the Ogre, the Gorillaz autobiography. Best book I've ever written. Well, only book I've ever written. Came out a couple of years ago. And do you know what? I think I'll re-release it now. Maybe even update it. It's a fantastic tale. Better than Wordsworth. It should be compulsory in schools.
I haven't even read it.
Neither have I. So, yeah. Gorillaz, that's how we formed. It's important to get a name right, though, isn't it? I had this one band called This Show Has Been Cancelled. And, well, no one ever came to see us. Pointless, really. So we split up. We did reform briefly about a month later under the name We Have Split Up. But, yeah, well, again, it was just a waste of time.
You're an idiot.
Shut your face!
And who or what are your individual musical influences, and how do they differ from the group's influences?
Oh, well, it's all kind of changed now, over the years. There wasn't nearly so much of it when I was growing up.
He was born a long time ago.
I was basically into metal, all kinds of metal. Hair metal, death metal, precious metal, heavy metal, scrap metal. Bands like Tigers of Pang Tang, Poison, Rat, Dio, Twisted Sister, Cinderella.
I hate all that stuff. For me, it was bands like The Jam, Wire, Buzzcocks, Magazine, Ultravox, Talking Heads. I loved all the punk stuff, and the Human League. Scott Walker I liked.
Yeah, he's good.
Now, I don't know, it's all over the place. I get sent tapes through the post.
Tapes, really?
Yeah, tapes.
Through the post?
Yeah.
That's very odd. I didn't think they made tapes anymore. They don't email you a link or something.
No, tapes through the post. It's Plastic Beach.
Over the years, though, my taste has changed, or developed, because there's loads of stuff. I mean, you can see it if you check out who I get to play on our albums, like Ike Turner, The Far Side, De La Soul, British rappers like Bash and Kano, Roots Maneuver. Yeah.
Russell got us all into a lot of the hip-hop stuff, He was into old school stuff like ESG, Cool Herc, Trouble Funk, Sly and the Family Stone, Zap.
And I recorded some stuff with Omar Soliman over in Beirut last year. And we've obviously done loads of stuff with the National Orchestra for Arabic Music. And Cerebral Ballsy I like. I mean, if you just want me to list stuff, I can just go Tom Tom Club, Sparks, New York Dolls, XTC, Johnny Cash, Lead Belly, Yo Majesty, Love, Kinks, Sunhouse, Tito Puente, Photech, Cheap Trick,
Salt and Pepper.
Sonic Youth, Clash, Hendrix, Quincy Jones, Scatterlights, Aphrodite's Child, The Congos, Funboy 3, Sun Ra,
Shaka Demus,
The Sex Gang Children, Lalo Schifrin, Wendy Carlos, Augustus Pablo, Fela Kuti. Look, in one way or another, by hook or by crook, we've ended up working with loads of people that we're into. They all sort of end up in the family. Gorillaz is like a flop house for legends.
Collectively, yeah, I'd say we cover most bases. Although Russell's been missing now for years, yeah, since we played the New York Harlem Apollo 2006.
And Noodle too. I haven't seen her since the El Mañana video shoot. I had to build a cyborg out of her from the DNA I scraped up from the crash site when she got shot out of the sky. The cyborg plays a lot of guitar on the album. It came out very well. But the original Noodle, well, one can only hope that she returns. Still, I saw some footage of her with a mask on recently. It got used, actually, in our Melancholy Hill video, so I think she's safe. She might even be on her way back to us. To Plastic Beach, who knows?
So guys, how did you both begin playing music, and what was your first musical instrument?
For me, it was keyboards, any keyboards really. My dad used to find stuff in junk shops and even customise them for me. I had a Casio VL Tone, which I used to take everywhere with me. It looks a bit like a melodica, which was another instrument I loved, still do. But, keyboards was the thing that I loved. Stylophones, Moogs, synths, electronic stuff. Anything that makes a bloopy noise. I was a bit like Brian Eno.
Only without the talent. Or brains.
Sod off your goff.
Right, that's it!
Right, get it! It's a fun! Quick! Flipping it!
Yes. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah, instruments. Well, everyone knows that bass is best. Yeah? It's heavy, sexy, and you can rattle the bowels of the earth with it. The one I use today is named El Diablo. It was given to me by Beelzebub, the king of the underworld himself, as a present when I signed my eternal contract with him. I gave him my soul, and he promised to make Gorillaz the biggest band that the world has ever seen. So, yeah, it's all working out rather nicely, really, isn't it?
Although you can't really play it, so we keep having to bring in extra bass players.
Now, Murdoc, it's been known that you've developed some issues with 2D over the years. How do you create music with 2D if you can't even stand to be near him? Your bio in the Gorillaz website states that you hate 2D, and 2D also idolises you, Murdoc. So, tell me a bit about that.
Well, I admit it's not all plain sailing. I mean, look at him. He's got, well, special needs. But for me, music is the ultimate goal. Something that you have to rise above petty differences in order to achieve. The greater good. And he does have a very special voice. Voice of an angle.
You can't do it without me, simple as that. You'd still be living in a Winnebago in Stoke if I wasn't singing. Knocking off barmaids on a Friday night, if you were lucky.
And even if it is like dealing with some form of mental case, I still think it's worth it, in the end. And I guess it helps that he's always looked up to me as a kind of father figure.
In your dreams, Pedro.
And also, I understand it's not very gentlemanly to point out that our first guitarist, the one before Noodle, was a girl called Paula Cracker. She was 2D's girlfriend, who I had a rather lovely altercation with in the toilets at Kong Studios.
Wait, after! What? No! No, you can't pull that! No! For the love of...
Careful!
Damn it! Get off!
Sit back down. That's it, like a good boy. And let's finish this interview, shall we? Just breathe into this rag. Yeah, deep breaths, big gulps. Yeah, there we go. All better now. Shall we continue? And, I think it might be a good idea to direct the next question at me, not him.
And 2D, you were introduced to the Free Tibet campaign by Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys and have been an avid supporter of the Free Tibet campaign ever since. Describe what this campaign means to you and how you hope to raise awareness with your music.
I think,
Don't ask him anything serious. I mean, you just get a load of rubbish falling out of his trap.
Yeah, the Free Tibet campaign was something that a lot of people threw their weight behind. I mean, I think it's important to lend your position to...
But you got to ask yourself, haven't you? Yeah? I mean, how much trouble are these people in if they need 2D? Yeah? An animated singer from a Western pop band as a spokesperson for their cause.
I think it's important for each and every person to have the liberty and the freedom to live their lives how they choose to, without the interjection and repression from heavy-handed authorities. It's about basic human rights, really.
He doesn't really know what he's talking about, though. Do bear that in mind.
You know what, guys? I've always loved the song Clint Eastwood, but could never figure out what it's about. What is the song about? I mean, what inspired the song's title?
Oh, melancholy, hope, and sweet, sweet dubby reggae. That was one of the first tracks I wrote for this band. Instant hit. It's all built up around my deep, twangy bass. That and a little button marked reggae setting on my Honda Z-Chord hit-making machine.
With the lyrics, well, it's not actual sunshine. I don't have sunshine in an actual bag, I'm not even sure that's possible. I'd have to check with someone like Stephen Hawkins on that. I did have a bag, though, but it wasn't actually sunshine inside the bag. It was some old gym clothes and some shoes in a paperback.
Oh, we finished the track off at G-Jam Studios in Jamaica in about April, May 2000. Blimey, that was over 10 years ago now. And that track's still a monster. It's actually like a big, clean, inky canvas for rappers of all sizes to come paint their rhymes onto. That one's had raps by Del the Ghost Rapper, Cyan Life from Phi Life Cypher, Tiny Tempers had a crack at it, Snoop Dogg at Glastonbury, Bash and Kano did a version, and Islam Jawad threw his set into the mix recently in Syria and Damascus at this show we did at the Citadel. It's a truly continental cut, that Clint Eastwood song. Frequent flyer.
We called it Clint Eastwood because it had a kind of Ennio Morricone feel to the melodical line, like the good, the bad and the ugly or something. So we went with that as a theme, and also calling it Clint Eastwood had a kind of old reggae vibe to the name.
I'm not sure why you're actually still talking here. I mean, you had nothing to do with that track other than singing my lyrics.
The version that the Gorillaz live band are now doing is great. Very heavy, Paul Simmons' bass is way better, way heavier than the original now. In fact, we should record it with the proper bass on there, instead of that cod ham-fisted clumping you do.